Dwight Howard's story is one of the most fascinating roller coasters the NBA has ever seen. From the moment he stepped on the court, he was different. A kid who once played point guard because of his size and agility suddenly shot up to 6'10" and transformed into one of the most athletic big men the game had ever seen. He wasn't just tall, he was explosive, fast, and powerful, with a smile that made him look like he was born to be a superstar. In high school, he dominated like a man among boys, averaging 25 points, 18 rebounds, and nearly 8 blocks a game, leading his team to a 31-2 record and a state championship. By the time he declared for the 2004 NBA draft, everyone knew he was special, and at just 18 years old, the Orlando Magic made him the #1 overall pick. From day one in the NBA, Dwight lived up to the hype. He wasn't just blocking shots, he was sending them into the third row. He wasn't just grabbing rebounds, he was snatching them out of the air like they belonged to him. By his third season, he was already an all-star. By his fourth, he was leading the league in rebounds, and before long, he was the most dominant defensive force since Shaq. 3 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards, 5 straight seasons leading the league in rebounds, and a trip to the 2009 NBA Finals cemented him as the best center in the game. The Magic built everything around him, and, for a while, it worked. But as we'll see, Dwight's smile, once his biggest charm, would become a symbol of immaturity in the eyes of critics, and decisions, both his and the team's, would eventually send his career spiraling. This is the rise and fall of Dwight Howard, a player who went from being the most dominant big man in the world to fighting for respect in a league that seemed to leave him behind.
Quick rise to stardom. Before Dwight joined, the Orlando Magic were in shambles. They had the worst record in the league. Grant Hill was always hurt, and Tracy McGrady left for Houston. Into that mess came an 18-year-old rookie with a skinny frame and a huge smile. But from day one, Dwight Howard made an impact. Even without being the main option, he averaged 12 points and 10 rebounds, becoming the youngest player ever to average a double-double and lifting the Magic to 15 more wins. That summer, he lived in the gym, returning with 20 pounds of muscle. Stronger and more explosive, he could no longer be pushed around, raising his averages to 16 points and 12 rebounds, then 18 and 12.5 the next season, while shooting over 60% from the field. His biggest leap was on defense. Dwight wasn't just blocking shots, he was erasing plays. His quick feet let him switch onto guards, his strength held off giants in the post, and his athleticism made him the league's most feared rim protector. The recognition soon followed. Dwight earned his first All-Star selection, an All-NBA third-team nod, and carried the Magic back to the playoffs. Though they were swept in the first round, it was clear the franchise finally had its cornerstone. Around this time, the Magic made another key move, hiring Stan Van Gundy, a fiery coach who demanded discipline and toughness. With Van Gundy's system and Dwight's rapid growth, the stage was set for the Magic to rise from a struggling team to legitimate contenders, and Dwight Howard was ready to lead the way.
Superman is in the building. In 2008, the NBA was ready for a new big man to take over. Shaq was slowing down, Yao Ming's body was breaking apart, and into that space stepped Dwight Howard. With Stan Van Gundy pushing him to expand his game, Dwight started getting more touches in the post, and for the first time in his career, he averaged over 20 points a night while leading the entire league with more than 14 rebounds. He wasn't just playing center, he was redefining what a modern big could do. At All-Star Weekend, Dwight pulled on a Superman cape, soared through the air, and delivered one of the most iconic dunks in history. The crowd went insane, and suddenly, Superman was real, standing right there in Orlando blue. Even though his post moves were stiff and his free throws clanked, it didn't matter. Dwight was a force, unstoppable around the rim, and he earned his spot on the All-NBA first team. The Magic won 52 games, their best run since the Shaq and Penny days, and Dwight carried them out of the first round for the first time in over a decade. That summer, he joined the Redeem team at the 2008 Olympics, where his energy and rim protection helped the U.S. reclaim the gold. Surrounded by legends like Kobe and LeBron, Dwight didn't look out of place. He looked like the future, a player destined to be remembered as one of the greatest centers the game had ever seen.
Finals run and defensive dominance. Dwight Howard in 2009 was like a force of nature, a one-man wall that swallowed up everything in the paint. That year, he became the face of Orlando's rise, the heart of a defense that turned the Magic into contenders. Every possession felt like a dare to challenge him, and most players failed miserably. 3 blocks per game only told part of the story, because the shots he changed and the drives he stopped were countless. Opponents would enter the lane, see Dwight waiting, and either panic or settle for weak mid-range jumpers. The intimidation alone shifted entire game plans. Offensively, he wasn't polished like Kareem or Hakeem, but his impact was just as devastating. Every rebound, every lob, every foul drawn gave Orlando momentum. His strength created chaos, his leaping abilities stretched defenses, and his sheer presence opened the floor for shooters like Rashard Lewis and Hedo Turkoglu to rain threes. That Magic team won 59 games, looking like they had cracked the code for modern basketball before its time, spacing the floor with shooters around a dominant rim protector. In the playoffs, Dwight elevated even higher. Against Boston's championship defense, he battled veterans and came out on top. Then came LeBron James and the Cavaliers, a team most people thought would roll to the finals. LeBron averaged 38 in the series, but Dwight answered with the performance of his life. In Game 6, he exploded for 40 points and 14 rebounds, a night that silenced every doubt and carried Orlando to the finals. Suddenly, the kid from high school who bypassed college was standing toe-to-toe with Kobe Bryant and the Lakers on the biggest stage. The Magic were underdogs, but Dwight gave them life. In Game 3, they snatched a win, and in Game 4, Howard was everywhere, grabbing 21 rebounds and blocking 9 shots, a display of dominance that had Stan Van Gundy calling him unstoppable if he played with that focus every night. For a moment, it felt like Dwight had the whole league in his hands, a giant on the verge of taking over the game. But that moment slipped. The Lakers steadied themselves, Kobe's will proved too much, and Orlando fell in 5. It was still the peak of Dwight's power, the season that proved he wasn't just a freak athlete, but the centerpiece of a contender. It was supposed to be the beginning of something special, the rise of a new dynasty built around Superman. Instead, it became the high point of a career that would slowly unravel.
Continued dominance and growing tensions. Dwight Howard was on top of the NBA world, piling up numbers that no other big man could match. He led the league in blocks, rebounds, and field goal percentage, adding another Defensive Player of the Year to his collection, and once again earning first-team All-NBA honors. The Magic won 59 games and looked strong, but when the pressure hit in the conference finals, Boston exposed their flaws and sent them home. In 2011, Dwight reached his statistical peak, putting up 23 points, 14 rebounds, and nearly 3 blocks a night. He became the first player in NBA history to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 times in a row, finishing second in MVP voting, right behind Derrick Rose. On paper, he was unstoppable, but the cracks were showing. Dwight's numbers were amazing, yet his leadership was questioned. His body language told the story of a player more focused on highlights than the grind of winning. He loved swatting shots into the stands for the crowd instead of controlling the ball for his team. He was smiling, joking, flexing, and putting on a show, but that joy often looked like a mask for a lack of focus. Orlando's chemistry fell apart, and instead of chasing championships, the team collapsed in the first round of the playoffs, leaving fans to wonder if Dwight truly had what it took to be the kind of leader his talent demanded.
The Lakers' fiasco and life on the move. Dwight Howard's career collapse was as shocking as his rise. After the 2012 season, he clashed with coach Stan Van Gundy, demanding more post touches even though he wasn't an elite scorer there. The Magic fired Van Gundy to appease him, but Dwight still wanted out and was traded to the Lakers to form a super team with Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, and Steve Nash. On paper, they looked unstoppable, but injuries and dysfunction tore them apart. Nash went down, Gasol was misused under Mike D'Antoni, and Dwight never fully recovered from back surgery that had ended his Orlando run. The athletic dominance that made him Superman was gone, replaced by a slower, less explosive center. His playful antics frustrated Kobe and Nash, who wanted seriousness, and tension poisoned the locker room. Even though Dwight still led the league in rebounds and made the All-Star team, the Lakers' season collapsed after Kobe tore his Achilles. Dwight then bolted for Houston to pair with James Harden, and the Rockets looked like contenders. But instead of synergy, there was friction. Harden was annoyed by Dwight's personality and effort, while Dwight felt underused. They did reach the 2015 conference finals, but after a disappointing 2016 season, their partnership broke down completely and Howard left again. Over the next few years, he bounced from Atlanta to Charlotte to Washington, each stop starting with big promises and ending with disappointment. He still showed flashes of the old Superman, grabbing boards and blocking shots, but inconsistency, nagging injuries, and lack of focus defined him. By 2019, the man who once looked like the best center in the world was unwanted across the league. Dwight Howard's rise and fall is one of the most dramatic stories in NBA history.
LA Redemption. Dwight Howard's story took a shocking turn in 2019 when most people thought his career was over. After years of drama, injuries, and locker room issues, he admitted his mistakes and promised to change. He showed up shredded, claiming he was in the best shape of his life, and the Lakers signed him on a non-guaranteed deal that felt like his last chance. This time, he embraced the dirty work, rebounding, defending, setting screens, and leaving the spotlight behind. And in 2020, Dwight finally reached the top, playing a key role in the Lakers' championship run and becoming an NBA champion.
Dwight Howard's story is complicated, but also unforgettable. You can point to his flaws, his awkward post moves, his lack of touch outside the paint, or the drama that followed him from team to team. But when you step back and look at the full picture, his legacy is undeniable. We're talking about a player with nearly 20,000 career points, 8 All-NBA selections, 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and top 10 all-time in both rebounds and blocks. Very few centers in history can say the same. Yes, Dwight never became the next Shaq, and yes, his fall from superstardom was faster than anyone expected. But at his peak, he was the most dominant defender in the league, an unstoppable rebounder, and the anchor of a team that went to the finals. His name belongs in Springfield, and history will eventually be kinder to him than fans were in his later years. Dwight Howard is not just a cautionary tale of what could have been, but also a reminder of how high the mountain really was when he stood on top. What do you think? Was Dwight's career a disappointment, or should he be remembered as one of the greats? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, check out the next video on the channel for another incredible NBA journey.